Alright, what's up YouTube? It's me, Sasuke789, back again for another video. It's been a while, and this time we're doing something even more different than anything we've ever done before. We are kind of doing a small podcast series. Pretty much I'm just going to talk about some random topics with either myself or just like somebody else. Like in this case we have John. Go ahead and say hello
What's
to
up?
yeah,
What's
John,
up?
my roommate, pal, friend. And as you can see, this is episode 1. We're talking about the LCS offseason. So, since Worlds ended, this is the time for all the teams to kind of throw out their bad players, get new players, or do different swaps. It's going to be insane this year with all the changes that are going on. And we are just going to basically go over each team and exactly what is being changed with each team. Starting off with John's favorite team, TSM, or Team Solo Mid, if you don't know what that stands for.
Let's go. This is
So first of all,
fucking scuff.
let's talk about the top lane possible changes because this one isn't confirmed yet. So Broken Blade got he got removed from the team. He's not even a part of the company anymore, and they were trying to get Huni. But that might not happen because it's something we'll talk about when we get to the supports. What do you think about that change?
So TSM's probably the team that I know most about in the off season. Just because I've been fucking following them since season 3. So,
Hmm.
um, so Hooney's an interesting one, right? Because if you look at them just as players, Broken Blade is better in like every way. um, Hooney's been pretty washed up, but he's also so the thing is, right? I'm curious because it might not happen.
Right.
Um, but I'm curious to see if Hooney as a player has been kind of coasting it and just cashing in checks, like the past maybe season or two.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm curious to see if he can just like he's like, oh, maybe I actually have a chance at like playing the game now, so I'm gonna try. But you develop pretty bad habits if you play bad for 2 years.
Right. His time with EG wasn't like good performing. I think the last time I ever seen him perform big was when he was on Dig. I think that was that first year that Dig came back. Huni.
I was gonna say Fnatic or SKT.
Yeah, ever since he came back to NA, it's kind of been a poor performance from Huni. Although he's had some really good games, it's just overall hasn't been consistent with it. So you're right. Like maybe if he went to TSM, this team with all these, decent players, maybe he'd actually perform better. But like we've also talked about, that might not happen. But
Right.
let's go to jungle now, which is unchanged. Spica. This man
Um,
came in, was this split or spring split?
I think it was this split
This
because remember they TSM's so fucking so TSM's probably the number one team that is like if you send a jungler there they're gonna become bad.
pretty
Um,
much.
so far Speaker might be the exception to that.
Spica was probably the best performing member on TSM during Worlds, considering they went 0 and
Oh yeah.
6. They didn't win a single game.
Yeah, he definitely was, and I think if like a lot of even analysts and pro players will say that too.
Hmm.
Um, TSM looked really washed up. Broken Blade just couldn't carry, and when he tried to, he would just end. Speaker got a fucking 5-man Lilia ult. No one followed up on it.
Hmm.
Bjergsen Doublelift looked like they were just tired of playing the game, and Biofrost like doesn't exist anymore.
Right. Speaking of Bjergsen, he is no longer the mid laner. He is now the coach slash co-owner instead of being the mid laner slash co-owner. um. So yeah, he's now the head coach, which I think, considering he's been playing since what, season 2, season 3, I feel like that's a good
Really
move.
early.
That's a good move for him. He's put his name. He solidified his spot in professional league history, and then now, it kind of reminds me of when Lemon went to coach.
Hmm.
Like he was kind of the main component of communication on Cloud9 back in the day, and then he became the coach. So I feel like it's one of those things Whereas he's been with the organization for so long, he just doesn't feel like leaving, and so he became the head coach. And I feel like now he'll probably be able to do more, especially since they're getting Power of Evil, which in my opinion was either first or second on mid laners in NA this last split.
Yeah, really the contest goes between Bjergsen, Jensen, and Power of Evil. And Power of Evil is, ever since we saw him on fucking Unicorns of Love at, was that IM season like 5 or something?
Season 5, he was on Unicorns of Love. Yeah, that sounds
He
about
was a
right.
fucking, he was a fucking Bjergsen killer. He was the kryptonite to TSM. And I think it's really interesting to see them pick him up. Reggie, like, maybe accidentally confirmed it, and maybe confirmed it this morning. We don't know.
Hmm.
But he may have accidentally confirmed it on, I think, Hotline League last week, where he like misspoke, and then they tried to fucking save his ass, but he just fucking rolled with it. Like, he just fucking rolled over and was like, "Oh, I mean Path of Exile."
Path of Exile.
Doublelift did something similar, where he was asking about Path of Exile on like Twitter, and like no one
Oh,
realized that he was probably actually talking about Power of Evil.
that's hilarious.
I think that's a good move, right?
Hmm.
Because I have some. I think Bjergsen as a coach is going to be really interesting. Because he might be ass.
Very well
Um,
could.
and I think I think he's gonna be able as like a figure in League of Legends, I guess. I feel like he's probably gonna be able to do more from a coaching role than from a playing role, just because I don't know. He's consistent, but he's not consistently the best anymore, right?
Right.
And I don't know. Bjergsen's also been kind of a coach for the past like year or so. Whenever he first became a
Hmm.
co-owner, and I know that that has led to some really interesting decisions, like Mike Young, who at first I thought was maybe not a bad pickup, but then ended up being, following the TSM jungler route, where you just become like the worst jungler in NA.
Right. Right. S-
So I don't know.
Right. That's going to be an interesting one. That's something we'll have to pay attention to towards the beginning of the split to see how well they were able to get the changes under control. But at the same time, not all the changes are done because Doublelift may or may not be retiring this year
Hmm.
because of the support changes. So they dropped Biofrost, and they were supposed to
Oh,
be picking up. Well, they didn't drop him, but he's not on the main
not
roster.
yet.
Yeah, but
Right.
they were supposed to pick up Sword Art, which is, in my mind, one of the best supports in the entire game. Sword Art has been over like really, really great performance this last year, and but from what John told me yesterday, that may or may not be happening.
Yeah. So apparently, the United States of America doesn't recognize Taiwan as an actual country, or recognize Taiwanese independence from China. So if Sword Art comes to America, he gets taxed by both the Chinese government and the United States government
Instead of
instead of
just the
just the U.S. government.
right.
So, or something like that. He gets double taxed on his salary, which is supposed to be insane anyway.
Hmm.
Like, um, I think Reggie hinted at Sword Art's salary was supposed to be, and this was like not an actual estimate. This was just like kind of locker room talk,
Right.
but it was supposed to be like something more than what the bottom three teams fucking have spent this year.
Gotcha.
So if that fucking doesn't go through, Doublelift he won't play unless he gets a I think maybe this is a quote, I can't remember, but it's something along these lines. He won't play unless he plays with like a high tier import support or something like that.
Hmm.
So the reason why this connects to Huni is because TSM were going to trade their Academy ADC Lost for Huni on EG,
Mhm.
And if Double Lift doesn't get Sword Art, then he's gonna retire, which is what he thought about doing right after Bjergsen announced it. Apparently, he spent days actually preparing like a retirement speech, which I wouldn't be surprised to see,
Right.
considering he's been playing since season one. Um, but if that falls through, then TSM gonna have to run Lost. They can't get Huni, and they have to just completely rebuild. With not only are they going to be rebuilding from what two positions, mid and jungle, but
Mhm.
they're also going to be rebuilding with the scraps that are left over. Yeah, all the free agents, basically.
Right, which there really isn't a whole lot of like really really good options for free agents anymore. After the
No.
last, because was it it started 4 days ago was when the whole free agency pickup thing started, and most
Right.
most of the like the top wanted picks are now picked. Um.
Um, Let me see, because I have a list of some of the free agents that are still left.
Mhm. Mhm.
The only people that even like, oh god, the only people that even like speak out to me are, I guess, top lane. You got like, maybe you could throw fucking Darshan in there.
Is he still he's still on
Alorum.
pro pay? Pro play.
He's been like managing he's been the president of the League Players Association, which is
Oh.
essentially like a union for pro players. But that's not the fucking person you want, right?
Right.
I guess if you look at Europe, you got like Cabo Charter, Smitty J, which is pretty eh.
Mhm.
And the only reason they're looking to go Huni is because he's native.
Right.
That they could not get Impact or Licorice.
Right. Right.
I'd say safest bet you just fucking see if you can get Hanser from Dig and be like, all right, we know
Get
this
him.
guy.
Get him back. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have Joklo, which is their academy. So I guess they could run just academy team with Poe and Spica. I don't know.
Mm. I guess we'll have to wait until we hear more, because, like we said, that all of that's still up in the air with their top and support. So I guess we have to wait till closer to start of season and figure out what TSM isn't gonna do.
And I should throw out the second option for import support. Palette just got picked up by Flash Wolves or re-signed or something like that.
Okay,
So
that's
there
not an
really is no
option.
second
That's not.
option.
There really is no second option. But now we're gonna switch gears, go to the next team. We're gonna go to FlyQuest. So we're gonna start off with the big transfer, which was three members of Cloud9 going to FlyQuest, and that is Licorice, who was their starting top laner, Palafox, which was their academy mid laner, and Diamond, which was their academy support.
Mm.
Um, Big move for both FlyQuest and Cloud9, because Licorice, my opinion, was one of the highest performing members on Cloud9 for most of his time on it. I don't know a whole lot about Palafox or Diamond. I've watched very few Academy, but I know they are also really good players. Diamond, um, he performs really well. I'm even less sure of Palafox because I don't know a whole lot about him, but I know
I know
Diamond's
one
performed.
thing.
And what's that?
I know one thing about Palafox. He boot camped in Korea at the end of last season and got like 1,000 LP challenger.
Okay, well,
Yup.
then that's a good move for FlyQuest. But that's also coming from he's replacing Power of Evil, which we just talked about on TSM. So those are gonna be some pretty big shoes to fill in. But yeah, so pretty much FlyQuest, entirely new team. They got rid of every single member on their team. Um, Solo, Santorin, Power of Evil, Wild Turtle, and Ignar. That was their original lineup, all gone. We talked about Licorice, Palafox, and Diamond, but they picked up Johnson for ADC and Deodo for jungle.
Jose Diodo.
Jose D. Okay, cool. What about those two? I know Johnson. He was on Dig. He performed mediocre. It's.
So Johnson and Deftly, which
Mhm.
is the other person kind of in the running for that spot, have been basically considered for most of the teams in that tier of like FlyQuest, EG, 100 Thieves. You could maybe throw Golden Guardians in there. I don't know,
Right.
but those two play. Oh, and Dig.
Hmm.
Those two players have just been considered by like every fucking team that is possible, and that the fact that they can pick up Johnson, just lock that in, I think is probably pretty solid.
Right.
Um, I I'm coming back into like watching pro play after not watching, I think, since maybe last year.
Hmm.
Um, I definitely didn't watch because there was no MSI this year,
Yeah,
which
that
kind
was
of
kind of a
sucked.
bummer.
Right, even though G2 just would have fucking won it. Jose Dioto, I've heard really good things about him as a jungler. He's a LAN or LAS, whatever, the Latin server, the
Oh, okay. So he's
Latin
coming
America.
from the Brazil area,
Right.
from our Brazilian league.
And
Gotcha.
I'm not sure what to make of it. He played on Rainbow 7 at Worlds this year and got 0-3 by fucking LGD. I think he must have played in through play-ins because
Gotcha.
import or not import but wild card.
Wild cards. Yep.
And I'm not sure too much on his style or anything like that. I I don't know. I've heard some pretty good things about him just through analysts, but that's really it.
That's really it. All right. Not much to talk about FlyQuest. Pretty much like the only teams that we have a lot of talked about are like the top teams. The middle teams, I mean, some of the changes have been really good, but we'll get to those later. But next, we
Oh,
have
can I
one of.
throw in something
Oh,
last?
perfect. Go ahead.
So with FlyQuest's big C9 move,
Hmm.
that's gonna be fucking insane.
Yeah,
Um, I think they're gonna be definitely top of the middle of the pack teams. Especially, yeah, fucking Licorice, who's like probably NA's best native top laner, I would say.
Licorice was probably the biggest upgrade in FlyQuest history.
Right. Palafox, I'm looking forward to seeing, especially hearing about that fucking boot camp in Korea he
Hmm.
had last minute. Um, because really, I mean, if you look at the fucking mid laners that are like the teams are gonna be, I mean, that are in LCS this season,
Hmm.
the only ones that are like even noteworthy are the fucking C9 TLTSM, right?
The top three, as
Ev-
they always have been.
yeah, everyone else like just seems pretty eh. I mean, a
Hmm.
Blaze Olive is like I think decent challenger player, but that might be as far as I'd say for that. I don't know.
Right. But yeah, so that'll be something to look out to see how the Cloud9 deal kind of helps FlyQuest or breaks FlyQuest. I guess we'll see how the team can work together. I know Licorice. I'm pretty sure at this point Licorice can work with anybody, but we'll see how the rest of the team, especially with that Brazilian import. I think this is the first time in my like to my knowledge that we've had an import come from South America.
Um,
I know we've had transfers from almost every other region in the league except for that one, as far as I know, or
I'm trying to think.
at
I,
least one
I
was.
know there's one. I know there's at least one, but I know another. What one of like the big top laners from like the old guard went to Brazil.
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
can't remember the name though.
All right. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and switch to one of the most stacked teams probably this season. We're gonna go talk about some Team Liquid here.
Ooh.
So they got rid of Impact. They got Alfari. Supposedly that's supposed to be an upgrade. Which with
Yeah.
the way that the last season was, I agree. Impact did not perform too well this last season, and Alfari definitely did show up when he was in EU. But with that being said, we all know the history of EU transfers. So that's something I'm kind of looking forward to see how Alfari can play with the rest of the team, I guess. And
I think based on the rest of Team Liquid's roster, right? We haven't gotten there yet.
mhm,
I think Alfari is gonna have a good fit because it's basically an EU roster, right?
right.
I mean, you have Core JJ, who's a fucking Korean LCK import,
Mhm.
but that's a fucking that's an import roster basically. And Alfari was the top performing top laner on the lowest performing team.
That's true. Yeah.
Um, I think it's gonna be really interesting because I feel like TL can almost play any style that they want if they choose to. Um, And I think it's gonna be really interesting to see him just see how he fits into the like NA's top lane with Someday and Licorice.
Right, right. And that's a really good thing to bring up. This top lane matchup with all of these teams this season is going to be one to look forward to. Um, with all the imports, all the changes, top lane is going to be one of my favorite lanes to keep an eye on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but jungle wise, they got rid of Broxa after his first year on the team. Did not go
No.
well. He was really good on Fnatic, came to Team Liquid and just shit a brick. I don't know what happened. But so he left. They got Santorin,
Mm-hmm.
which was my personal favorite jungler when he was on TSM. Santorin, even when he was on
Really?
was he on FlyQuest? Was it FlyQuest? Yeah,
Yeah.
he
Yeah, he just
was.
went to Worlds.
Yeah, he was really good. A really good performer. He still is. Um, I don't know. What do you think about this change?
So I really didn't like Santorin on TSM because he got TSM'd. He just turned into like the worst jungler in NA, which is historically just what has happened.
Hmm.
Um, I really liked him on FlyQuest watching some of his performance at Worlds. I thought he was definitely I was like, holy shit, this is a different fucking player.
Right.
And I'm really looking forward to seeing him on Team Liquid, especially being able to play against I mean not against, play around a different mid laner like fucking Jensen.
Right.
And having a really solid bot lane. Um and I think it's gonna be interesting too, because now you can fucking just play around all far. He's just gonna be a fucking powerhouse in the top lane, right?
Right. I feel like Santorin and Alfari will work really well together. Their playstyles just kind of match up in a way that synergy is kind of scary. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
but
I feel like TL's gonna hands down. TL's attempt. So TL is attempting basically to become NAG2.
stacked roster.
Yeah, and I bet they could do it definitely this season. Just fucking be the team that everyone has to like compete against. Then again, I mean we have fucking Cloud9 who's like making
Which they're
waves,
next.
right?
But as for the rest of
Cloud9's
Team
gonna be
Liquid,
gross,
yeah, the rest of Team
but
Liquid hasn't changed. They're still Jensen in the
right,
mid, Tactical ADC with Core JJ. All three very high performing members. I think the lowest is Tactical, and that's saying something because Tactical is a very good performing person.
right, and Jets just got like the best fucking team possible,
Yeah,
basically.
they Team Liquid is scary and is going to be a team to look out for. And I'm pretty sure all
I
the other
think
teams know this.
I think TL in terms of like performance has a higher like a higher skill floor and like a not the highest skill ceiling. I think C9 has the highest skill ceiling,
Hmm.
but I think they're gonna have to work at it a little harder than TL will. I think TL is gonna be decent right off the bat.
Right. Which, yes, let's go into Cloud9. My boys,
Mm.
my team. They came in with this roster Licorice, Blabber, Niski, Sven, and Vulcan, and they, in the spring split, dominated. They dropped one game. They dropped
And didn't
maybe
make it to Worlds.
they dropped maybe one game in playoffs and then summer split. I don't know what happened in summer split, but they crumbled. They did not perform nearly as well as what they did during spring split. So they have made a couple of interesting changes. As we talked about earlier, they did get rid of their starting top laner Licorice, which then they brought
Mhm.
in their academy top laner Fudge, which the only reason why Cloud9 would bring in an academy member to their main team is because he's good. They did the same thing with Blabber. He started off academy, and now look at him. He's one of the top, my opinion, the top jungler in NA because he's just so versatile. He can be aggressive, but he can also be passive. It's just his play style is so unique. Like I've never seen somebody be as good as him, but also be able to int as good as him.
So Blabber's definitely even with the new mid laner. Blabber's my favorite member of C9.
Hmm.
Just cause like I don't know, he's so fun to watch, right?
Right.
Because either he'll fucking like hard carry his team, or he'll just fucking it, and it's so good. Plus, I think he has a decent personality,
No,
and
yeah,
I think C9 has historically just been like a really good team for. They seem like all around like happy friends, you know.
hmm yeah, they
And that might
always
that might change the season with the fucking like the royalty they're adding in, but I don't know.
royalty. He is talking about G2 perks. Um, they was it like 1.7 billion dollar
Uh,
contract.
I heard 11.75
11
or
points. It
something like
was,
that.
yeah, yes, that sounds more like it. But yeah, they got perks, which was the G2 mid laner slash ADC. He's won, oh, 4 or 5.
Nah,
It was like
he has
three.
like 9 championships on his belt.
It was 3 championships before they switched to LEC. 4 championships. He's pretty much won every single LEC final. Plus, he won MSI.
hmm
The first, the first Western team to ever win MSI. I'm pretty sure. At
Yeah,
least, at least in the last 7 years. So getting him on the team, as well as Niski was this last year. I mean, not as good in the summer split, of course, but this upgrade is probably gonna make Cloud9 be the threat that Team Liquid's Kryptonite's probably right here, my opinion. And
yeah. Go ahead.
and in his welcome video to Cloud9, Perks, this guy, he's like, I didn't come to NA to retire, because that's the big meme that people from EU transfer to NA so they can retire. That's not. He's like,
Roxa.
he's like, I'm not here to retire. I'm here to destroy and demoralize my opponents. And I'm like, this guy is going fuck. He talked about how he's excited to be with Sven again. He thinks that Sven
Yep.
is a really good player, and he's really glad to be on a team with him again. So that's gonna be really interesting to see those two, because they started off on G2 together.
Right.
So, and especially if they can get Mythian as their coach, which is still pretty much a rumor, like, even though they've kind of like hinted at it a lot, it hasn't been confirmed yet. But
Right.
Mythy, the Fnatic coach, who was on the original G2 roster with Sven and Perks, might be coming to NA to be Cloud9's next coach.
Um, I think Jack accidentally leaked it, but I'm not sure. Like, because you can read however you can hear anything however you want to.
Mm.
But I think Jack accidentally confirmed it in an interview he did, like with Thorne the other day,
And even so, they still have Reignover, who they promoted to head coach too after they got rid of Reapered.
which will be fucking sicko. I think.
I
I
think.
think like Reignover and Bjergsen are gonna have similar performances as coaches, but I can see
Mhm.
Reignover being a better one overall.
Reignover's been a coach longer. He's been
Right.
he's been with Cloud9 as their, was it their strategic? He was one of their coaches.
Academy?
Was he? He might have been the academy
I
coach,
don't know.
but he's
Oh,
been
they
at
also
it
have
for a
West
couple
Rice.
years. Yeah, do they still have West Rice?
I think they still have him. I don't know if
Gotcha.
they've gotten rid of him.
But yeah, so Cloud9, if there's any team in my opinion that can go against Team Liquid with that change of perks, I feel like Cloud9 is one of the only options. The TSM roster, we'll find out once we get a confirmed roster and like we see how they perform for the first couple of weeks of the split. But Cloud9, if Sven and Vulcan can still perform as well as they have, and Blabber just stays Blabber, I'm pretty sure the two new people can definitely. They don't really need to do much. I mean, Perks just needs to do his thing, and I mean, it's an easy win for Cloud9. So I'm really excited to see my boys back in play once the split starts back up.
hmm
So
I well, you heard what fucking Perk said about Fudge. He's like, I hope Fudge doesn't suck, and if he does, I can play top lane too.
yeah, yeah, he pretty much just he's like, I don't know anything about Fudge because he probably doesn't pay attention to North American Academy. He's just like, I hope
Right.
he's not bad. So yeah, we'll see how that works. I do have high hopes for Fudge though. I went back and actually looked at some stats from Academy when they bumped him up, and he's not a bad performing player. I haven't watched him play. I'm just looking at stats, so I don't know how
Isn't
well
he
he
like the
actually.
best performing Academy top lane or something like that?
Yes. I'm pretty sure he was the best performing top laner in the Academy last season. So especially with all of the changes with the map, all or the item shop, all the changes that are coming with this preseason and season 11, it's going to be really interesting to see how these players kind of if they change out how they're playing or change their play style based around these new changes coming into the 11th split of league.
I think C9's definitely. I think C9 can ease like. Well, I shouldn't say easily. I think C9 could probably win LCS this season if like Perks does exactly what he says and just completely demoralizes his opponents. I can
Hmm.
see Jensen just becoming a non-factor, being like, okay, now I'm just fucking under somebody again.
Right. And then so now we go to the next team, which next up is EG, Evil Genesis. A few changes. By a few, I mean pretty much their entire team except for their jungler. Svensgaren's the only remaining member on EG. They got rid of Huni and Kumo for Impact. Impact's in there,
Mhm.
who was the former top laner for Team Liquid, which is a good pickup for EG. I feel like assuming Impact can kind of like bounce back from the last split, he should have no issues fitting in with the rest of this team that we have here.
Um, so I'm not sure what to make of EG, right?
Right,
Because they might not have an ADC right now if fucking TSM doesn't get Sword Art.
right.
Because they're supposed to get Lost from Academy, which Lost and we'll get to support later.
Hmm.
I don't know. I feel like that as a team is going to be really interesting. Impact's going to have to fucking have an impact and like I feel like he has to be a rock, right? Same with Svenskeren.
Hmm. Well, with that being said, I did just notice that I did misread, and they just got rid of Golden Glue, but Jizuke is still on
Hmm.
the roster, which I'm still not sure if he's kind of found his like stable, because when he was in EU, he was like really good, and then he had a really bad season, then he was a really good season, and same thing with EG. He had like half of the split, he was like really fucking horrible, and then he actually started picking up and being this like performer that he was in EU, and the reason why EG pushed so hard to get him.
I feel like, and this is just like personal bias. I feel like most people are an upgrade over Golden Glue.
Yeah,
I feel
um,
like he's had enough time to prove himself as a good mid laner, and he just hasn't.
Golden Glue had a few good weeks on Cloud9, but ever
Right.
since then, it just really hasn't been good for the man.
I remember watching him. I think I want to say like season 5, but I might be like handicapped. Um, and I've been so unimpressed with his performance just like since then.
Right.
I don't know. Jizuke, if he can meld with the rest of the team, and the thing is, right, a lot of the people who aren't basically C9 and TL,
Hmm.
I'm even counting TSM in this. I don't fucking trust to have a good team environment, like or infrastructure. Just so looking at Impact, Svenskeren, and Jizuke, and they did confirm. No, they haven't confirmed the support, but I think they're about to.
Last I heard, it was
Ignar.
Ignar. Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if they've confirmed it yet, but I think like they have verbal agreement.
Hmm.
That's just like I've put Ignar a lot higher than I think he probably deserves to be, just in terms of my mental. Um, so maybe that could be a good team if they all gel well together,
Hmm.
and then we still don't know an ADC.
We still know
But
ADC,
I don't know. It just
but that
I can't see him doing that well.
the one thing I want to mention about the ADC role is Bang's retirement.
Yeah.
That Bang, not only was he one of the original SKT members when they won Worlds back to back, but he was always this high performing Korean ADC. And then when he got to NA, where did that go? Like it's everyone finds it funny and thinks of it as a meme, but it's true. Like every time you see any high tier or world class player transfer over to NA, something seems to happen and they just don't perform. I think the only member that I can say that has like kind of lived up to what they were before was Core JJ.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that.
Um,
Someday fell off. Hooney fell off.
mhm,
Rainover didn't really get a chance to because he just switched over before he really could.
mhm,
Um, Power of Evil, I don't know. I feel like he's just been stable ever since he came over from Europe. I don't think I've seen him shine really.
mhm.
But um, that's infrastructure right there.
Right.
If you can't create a good environment, because especially like if you look at a lot of the Korean imports that come over, they're the coaching staff that they deal with is like, okay, you're gonna do this, and if you don't, you're disrespecting me. And you're like, yes, I will because I respect you. You are my
Right.
coach. You're my superior. Where in NA, it's like, nah, man, you go fuck yourself. That's fucking stupid. You know,
Mhm.
it's all. I think it's all culture and the fact that most teams don't have the infrastructure to adapt to that. Besides, like I mean C9TL. I just most times it just doesn't work out,
Right.
and that's why I think is why.
Right. So that's going to be an interesting team to watch to see if they are able to mold together to be because each player individually are pretty good, and
Right.
it just depends on how well they work together. That's the issue. Like it doesn't matter if each person in the role is high class or high tier in their area. If they don't work together, then it's just gonna be, you know, GG done. They're done for.
Yeah, it's gonna be scuffed.
But yeah, next up we got Golden Guardians 2.0. I mean 100 Thieves. Um, pretty much the only member that's left from 100 Thieves is the top laner Sumde, and then everybody else came from Golden Guardians. We got Closer, Damonte, FBI, and Huhi.
I uh I think 100 Thieves might not be too bad. I
I
think they could definitely pick up like fourth place maybe.
I mean these players aren't bad.
No.
Huhi kind of fell off a bit once he left CLG, but I think since he went to a support role, once he went from mid to support, he kind of started getting back. In my opinion. Like I think that's what
Hmm.
saved Golden Guard. Even though Golden Guardians didn't really like perform that well, I think he was their saving member. Was his transfer to support because once he transferred to support, like shit just started looking better for them. FBI, um, although not like the top ADC, really high performing, and I really did like his performance in this last year. Let's see, he is replacing Cody Sun, which Cody Sun the entire roster of 100 Thieves just did not perform well.
Yeah, I
Honestly.
feel like I look at Cody's son in the same light. I look at Golden Glue.
Hmm.
Almost anyone's probably going to be better than them because I just don't think they're ever going to live up to what they should be.
Right at this point.
FBI seems like a pretty solid pickup.
Hmm.
Just from like some of the replays I've watched of him.
But
I'm
yeah,
not a big fan of I'm a big fan of Someday. I should say. I think he has the potential to still be a really strong top laner. Because didn't he come from KT, like an LEC or LCK?
yes, it was K. I was pretty sure it's KT he came from. Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds right.
Um. And I've been a pretty big fan of watching Someday like in NA, but it's I don't know. I feel like you have to have the right environment for that to really get past just the I'm a decent NA
Hmm.
top level.
Right. Yeah. KT Rolster went to Dig and then was on 100 Thieves.
Right.
So
And I don't know what to make of their jungle mid situation. I've never been impressed by Damonte. Never been impressed by Ryoma. So I can't expect that to go too well,
they
but I don't know.
they have Closer as their jungler.
How does Closer perform?
Um, I didn't really watch a whole lot of Golden Guardians last season. Honestly,
It's
I'm
fair.
gonna be completely honest with you, but I didn't think he was that bad from what I did see. He definitely has a lot to work on, but I feel like since most of the team is pretty much the exact same, and it's just they're just adding in Someday, I feel like if he can work well with Someday, I feel like those two that's top jungle synergy is going to be what carries most games for 100 Thieves if they can do it correctly.
Hmm.
Granted, do I think that they'll be able to beat a TSM, Cloud9, or Team Liquid? Probably not. But again, that's if Cloud9 and Team Liquid perform the way that we expect them to, and that's also assuming that TSM gets Sword Art and Huni.
Or has a team.
Or has a team. Yeah, that's. I mean, there's not much else to say about 100 Thieves since we don't really know these members too well.
They have Zix as their coach, as their head coach.
Is that. Yeah. Mm,
Former CLG. He was CLG's coach for a long time, and then he went to TSM, and I can't remember what else other teams he's been on.
gotcha. But I mean, yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see how well that does work out for them. But going on, let's see. CLG, Counter Logic Gaming is next. This team went through some changes. um, let's start with the top lane. They got rid of Ruin and got in Finn, which Finn from Europe. He was a part of. Oh dear lord, you'd think I would have done the research on what team he was on. I think it was Rogue. He was on Rogue. Um, and let's just say that Rogue actually did really well this last season. They made it to Worlds. They made it to playoffs. They lost in the finals. Or no, they got third place. So I mean, it was a really good roster that they had though. But Finn overall has been a really decent performing as of lately. As of lately. When he first started, I wasn't really like happy with the way he was performing, but lately he's been really picking it up. And it'll be interesting to see his play style, especially now that CLG also got Broxa.
Right.
And we'll see if Broxa can actually come back to his Fnatic glory and actually show up and do something this season.
So I feel like CLG. I'm not too sure about Finn. Broxa maybe won't suck. But like as they're with the roster as like a whole,
hmm
I don't know. They have the potential to maybe not get like last place. I
Especially
mean,
now they got rid of
Immortals is gonna
Stixay
get last place. Yeah.
and they have Wild Turtle, which I think was a good pickup for the team considering the available free agents at the time. There really wasn't any like great option, but out of the good options, Wild Turtle was probably the best one for them to pick up.
Yeah.
Stixay just yikes.
There's really no decent ADCs or for free agent in NA unless you go like Academy
Mm,
or go fucking yeah, I guess
somehow
you
get
don't really have much
sneaky.
of another option. Yeah, I mean like sneaky Cody Sun Bang if he, decides to stick around for another like fat second.
hmm
All Tech Keith Mash, there's nothing good there.
Right.
Turtles, I mean, I can't remember what season it was, but TSM's like 80 just couldn't play for whatever reason, and they brought in Wild Turtle. He's one of those kind of guys to me. He's gonna be solid, and you can count on him to like perform.
hmm
But you're never gonna, I don't think, see like world class, top of the bunch performance out of him. Same with
Right.
Pobelter.
Pole Belter has been playing for a long time.
Yeah, and I
So.
used to really hype up Pobelter around like S4, S5, but
hmm
he just he's not washed. He just I don't know if he has much in him anymore.
Right. It's just kind of one of those Bjergsen things, in my opinion. Like he's not is not as performing as Bjergsen, but it's just one of those things where he had his time and now he's just kind of like plateauing.
Yeah,
And
I think that's a good way to put it.
I don't know. We'll see how well he can perform with this new roster though, because with the way
Smoothie.
with Smoothie, there is still Smoothie. But Broxa, it all comes down, in my opinion, to see how Broxa can perform. Because if Broxic performs like he did on Fnatic, especially if he has that synergy with top and mid, CLG is actually going to be a threat this season. But I mean, it all comes down to that, pretty much, in my opinion. But
Yeah, and that's pretty like there's a lot of risk there,
way too
and
much risk.
there's a lot of room for that just to not work.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I'm pretty hopeful because I always like watching Pobelter perform.
Right.
But maybe he just won't suck. I don't know.
I guess we'll have to wait. All of this we have to wait till this, because all this on paper looks one thing, but it might be completely different. Like
Right.
we expected Team Liquid to dominate in the spring split when Broxa got signed on, but look at what happened. They didn't even make it to playoffs. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see how well these roster changes actually work for the team and how the team kind of works together. But Immortals,
Oh yeah, I forgot that's still a team somehow.
that is the last. This is the last team that we have to talk about for NA, and is their support even confirmed? Because I'm not finding.
So it's rumored to be Destiny.
Yeah, that was the rumor, but I was trying to look up some information, and at least on Immortals wiki, they only have the top laner, the jungler, mid laner, and bot as their active members.
Yeah. So maybe they haven't like fully gotten the
Hmm.
paperwork filled out. I think it's supposed to be Destiny.
Gotcha. But
Um
Revenge, they signed Revenge as their top laner, which everyone's like hyping that one up, but I don't know how well it is compared to who they had before. But at the same time, I didn't really pay attention to Immortals because they kind of sucked last split.
they haven't been good since their one fucking roster went what's like
Th-
18-0, 17-1.
their first year that they joined the split, they dominated, but then after that, they've just been very, very, very not good. But yeah, other than Revenge, the jungle, they got rid of Xmithy and brought in Xerxes, which Xerxes wasn't a bad performing jungler in EU, but at the same time, it's one of those same things with NA where with the NA ADC free agents, where there just isn't much to really go off of. Um,
I honestly would have just kept Smithy.
yeah.
Like he's not great. He never has been, but at least like you can trust him to like perform.
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe fits better with the roster. I don't know.
And
But I
again,
feel like Smithy would have been just to keep him in.
yeah, I mean, all of these changes, especially with Immortals, this team is kind of the iffy team on paper, in my opinion, because I don't really know a whole lot about each of the players. I don't think they're going to stand well. But with that being said, they could just completely throw me off guard and just like dominate.
I think Immortals is gonna do a lot better than everyone expects because everyone expects them to get last place.
Right. They did
That's
get,
pretty much how that goes, I
yeah.
think.
They did. They still have Insanity as their mid laner, which I didn't really care for his performance. He just didn't really play that good this last split. But they pulled in Apollo,
Oh, did they?
I think. According to their wiki, they did pull in
Raise and
Apollo.
Apollo. I think they're trying to get Raise,
Yeah,
which I think Raise. I think Raise might be OCE because Oceania players are no longer considered import slots for North America.
gotcha. But so pretty much out of all the teams that with their roster changes, Immortals is the only one that has so much left up in the air. It's really hard to confirm any members except for their top laner and their jungler. Everybody else is still kind of up in the air, I feel like, because nothing's really been confirmed with Immortals yet, and I haven't heard any news about the team except for them getting revenge. So this is the only team that really doesn't have much to go off of because they have nothing that they've really announced. But
we're also in a weird time, right? Because everything, at least for the next few weeks, is going to be a waiting game.
yeah,
Especially since free agency only kicked off 5 days ago or something like
Free
that.
agency just kicked off like Wednesday, Tuesday or
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Um,
Shit.
it's gonna NA's. I think I think NA is gonna be really weird this season, especially with the LCS format change.
Oh yeah, there's no longer a spring or summer split.
Right. It's all one, and it's like MSI is gonna be a lot a lot more important, I guess.
Hmm.
Not that it wasn't before, but it's like it's what you're trying to make it to NSI, then you're trying to make it to Worlds, not just like we're
Right.
we're just trying to make it to Worlds.
Um, but yeah, I mean that's about it for NA.
We still have Dig, don't we?
Did we not go over? Oh, we didn't. Is Dig's not a team anymore? Are they?
I thought they were.
Hold on, let me go back. They were. Oh yes, because they were the ones that only had. They didn't have anything confirmed. Like nothing was confirmed for them except for maybe Niles.
Dardoch.
Yeah, Niles and Dardoch. That's
So Dard,
that's it.
they're they're. ah, it's rumored, I guess. I guess they. It looks like maybe Academy. I don't know. It's rumored they're gonna have Solo, maybe Hanser. It was rumored they were gonna get Sneaky,
Rumored they're getting
and then
sneaky, but that's all that was.
right. I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't know.
Yeah, let's see. They fill out the roster with Froggen, Alpha Mu, Johnson, and Greg. But shit, man. I mean, none of that's been confirmed.
They still have Aframo under contract as well,
Alpha Mu's still in the contract. Okay.
which I feel bad for that guy because he probably should be on a better team than Dignitas. I don't know.
Yeah, they have Alpha Mu and Dardox are the two like only confirmed for the team. I mean, Viper left, Phoenix left, Junson did leave. Oh, actually, Viper
Yeah,
went.
Dignitas is gonna be fucking scuffed this season.
Viper might be going to their academy team. Actually, I don't know. That this is all according to the Leaguepedia, so all this could just be like not true, but
I
yeah,
don't know.
Dignitas
I
just
feel
doesn't have
like
enough to really go off of.
right, and that's the way it is for a lot of those teams. Especially, I mean, even teams like TSM where it's like we
Hmm.
know what the rumors are,
Right.
but the only thing we know is Power Beetle's like most likely confirmed, and Speak is gonna stay.
Right. Um.
Double Double Lift is in the air. Support and Topper in the air, and
But
that's a big team. You'd think we would know more about that.
yeah, with them being the top 3 teams in North America, you think that they'd be on the ball on that stuff by now.
Um, yeah, and then TSM also just got like hard dicked.
Really did. They really did. But yeah, so that's NA, guys. Next podcast is going to be on the EU changes. So we'll get to that sometime before the beginning of the split for sure. But that's gonna wrap it up for NA. I'm pretty sure there really wasn't much else. No,
No, I don't
no,
think so.
yeah, that
I don't think
we
so.
got we got all the players. I mean, there was some coach changes, but nothing like huge in my mind. Nothing like really noteworthy, at least until we see it in action. But
I guess if I can throw out a final thing,
go ahead.
um, looking at free agents, there really ain't a lot there.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like if a team's looking to get a free agent, and I guess who am I to say anything like that? But if a team's gonna get a free agent, like top, get fucked. Jungle,
The only
if
person
you
up for
don't want
jungle is contracts. I'm pretty sure.
contracts, that's a decent pickup. But if you're trying not to get knocked out of LCS, get like a Xmithie or an Ori. Mid, get fucked. Get Febevin. He's a free agent. I think he wants to play. He's gonna play Challenger, but
Mm-hmm.
like try to get Febevin. Nemesis is in there too. I think Nemesis is decent, but that's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Phoenix, I guess maybe. If you don't want to get relegated, which isn't a thing anymore, but if you want to like at least have some performance, maybe Golden Glue.
Right.
I don't feel like there's anything in ADC, and then support Zazel's in there, Hakuho,
Zazel and Haku
because
are free agents and support, but I feel like most teams already have their supports figured out.
right. But like if you're on the edge, you're like fuck, I don't know what to do, dude. Just it's North America. No one expects you to do good, and everyone knows what fucking game you're playing. So just buy somebody and just throw them in
Right.
there.
Right. But yeah,
It's bad mentality, but it's true.
really is. I guess we'll just have to see. I'm excited to see the big three teams, but there are some other like middle tier teams that I'm excited to look forward to with these roster changes. But we'll just have to basically wait and see how it goes for them all once season starts.
Yeah. And fucking, I'm really looking forward to seeing IMT in it, or not Immortals. Well, I kind of am, but 100 Thieves more
100
so.
Thieves. 100 Thieves is going to be a good one to look out for. But definitely, for now, that's going to cut it for this first podcast of the Sasuke789 show. Next episode is going to be probably talking about the Europe changes, so be on the lookout for that one. But until then, I hope you guys all have a great day, night, morning, whatever fucking time it is that you're watching this. But we'll see you guys on the next one.